This is a video for Integrity Capital Loan Associates on my terminology of what is a rent roll. And so we're just going to spend some time walking through a rent roll. The first thing I'm going to start off with is what is a rent roll? Well, it's in a real simple version for an investment property. You have tenants in there and they're paying rent and they're in there for a period of time for the length of their lease. They have a certain square footage they take. So rent roll really just gives you a snapshot of that property and all the tenants in there and all the particular details that you need to be able to assess and say, okay, now I have a big picture of what's going on with the rent that is being received in that roll, which is the property. So that is a rent roll. So what I have here on the screen is just a sample rent roll. This is an apartment complex in North Dakota. And so you can see here on the left side, this is the unit number. So we have the information we have is the unit number they're in, Suite 101. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. The tenant is Pamela. They're current on their payments. It's 1,374 square feet. So we know that. How much are they paying in rent per month? What is the deposit they've received? And then the lease term. So lease from and the lease ends. And then when they obviously moved in and move out, if there's any past due. In many instances, we're going to get information like the CAM expense, or common area maintenance. How much do they pay per month on their pro rata share of the property? So if the property has big area and there's property taxes and the tenant is responsible to pay their pro rata share. So if they take 15% of the total space, that's their portion of expenses they're responsible for. And so we're going to collect that information on there as well. So you just think about the tenant, you think about the square footage, you think about how much they pay each month, if they're responsible for paying any additional expenses. That will be broken out as to their pro rata share of the total building. So for example, if you have a building of 10,000 square feet and a tenant takes 2,000, then they have 20% of that total common area. And that means they'd be responsible for 20% of the taxes, 20% of the insurance, 20% of the maintenance, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so that would also be on there as well. And then the start and stop date for their lease, if there's any additional extension options that are in there. And then any comments that we might need to notate on the column. So that just gives you an idea of that particular sample. And then our form, you'll just see this is what we end up filling out, which is the square footage, the month, annual rent. The rent per square foot is a good thing to know. Percentage of the total, that's what we talked about. CAM amounts, which means common area maintenance. The lease begin and end date, and then any additional notes. So again, this is just really good to know for any investment deal you're doing, single or multi-tenant, so that the lender really understands who the tenants are, what percentage they might actually take in there. Because if someone takes 50% of the space, well, that might be something we need to dig into more to see how strong that tenant is, because if they lose half of it, they just lost half their rent. So that is just a quick snapshot on my terminology for what is a